I'm out for another disused railway walk and colliery explore. I'm just on the edge of a village called Renneth, which is in Nottinghamshire, just outside Mansfield. And what I'm going to do, I'm basically going to try and do a bit of a circular walk that takes in a few different railway lines and a couple of collieries. So if I just get up rail map online now, just so I can kind of try and make some reason of this. I'm starting off to the left, kind of top left on that yellow line. That's the Midland line between Mansfield and Southwell. I'm going to walk that down until you see the blue part come off there. That's the Great Central Railway's Rufford Colliery branch. I'm going to come off there, walk up into that kind of melee of blue lines. That's Rufford Colliery. We'll see what remains there. And then I'm going to skip just across to that other blue line that goes from top to bottom. And then I'm going to follow that down round the edge of Renneth village to the site of Blidworth Colliery. And then what I'm going to do finally is jump on that little yellow spur, that tiny little bit of yellow coming off of that blue line that goes up to join that Southwell line once again. So in that direction you've got Mansfield. You can actually walk this line pretty much all the way. It's called the Mansfield Way. You can pretty much walk it all the way into the town of Mansfield. Obviously this bit's been stitched up by the dual carriageway there. We're going to follow it in this direction. Now if you keep walking back that way into Mansfield, eventually you'll get to the Drury Dam Viaduct, which you might have seen we did on a previous video, and then eventually that joins in with the Robin Hood line, which is an active line. This section I'm walking up to Rufford Colliery Junction actually remained open till 1983. The line opened in 1871 and this section remained till 1983. The section beyond that was gone by 67 and the station site and all that stuff is all completely gone now. It's all the cutting was filled in and the housing estate was built on that. So you see we're on a track bed now. We've gone basically from, I mean it looks there like they've taken out a bridge. We've gone from being on an embankment to in a slight cutting pretty quickly. This really didn't do particularly well in terms of passengers, and in fact the passenger services were taken away by 1929, so not a long life in terms of providing a service to the village in that sense. But collieries were just popping up left, right and centre. Obviously the Nottinghamshire coalfield is huge, but a lot of these collieries around here were actually latecomers. So Rufford Colliery came in 1911, which is obviously, you know, it's pretty late. And Blidworth, the one we're going to look at towards the end, that didn't come until the late 1920s. So quite late, obviously, because a lot of the collieries we've looked at on some of these other explores, you know, they're you know, Victorian at least, if not earlier, some of them. You can still, annoyingly, you could hear some sirens then and stuff from the dual carriageway, but I can just about make out birds. So it does feel like I'm in the countryside. So you may have noticed I'm calling it Renneth, and actually if you look at obviously the label on this video, it's spelt Rainworth, but the locals call it Renneth. It was actually settled, it's not a very big village, it was settled way back in Roman times. They were the first people to settle here, because there's a Roman road actually not that far away, goes up towards Newark, which is actually where that dual carriageway goes, to be fair. And they settled here because of the coal. A lot of people don't realise that actually the Romans were mining coal as well, all that way back. Now Renneth is, I don't know why it's called Renneth, like that's, do you know what I mean? Like that's just a local dialect, but I'm going to go with the local stuff so I don't get corrected. So we're climbing up now. They've obviously filled in that bridge. So there's the cutting. And yeah, they've filled this in. I was hoping for some bridge remains and stuff, but well, I'll get to the top and I'll see if there's anything there. No, absolutely no remains, unfortunately. Same on the other side. So I'm going to cross the road, drop down. I've come down now. Unfortunately, it's all filled in. So Rainworth, or Renneth, so I was reading, gets its name from a battle. The Battle of the River Idle, which is just on the other side of Nottinghamshire, took place in 616 AD. The reason why this is connected to it is because that battle was between a Saxon king called Renneth and a Northumbrian king called Ethelthryth. Now Redwold actually won that battle, but his son, Regier, if I'm saying that right, Regier, he died in that battle. Now what they did is they set up camp here while they prepared for that battle, and then they went off, had the battle, and obviously Regier died. So what they say is the name of Rainsworth is Regier's Wold. Wold means basically a ford or a river crossing of some description. So essentially Regier's Crossing is what it was known as, which then over the years, obviously in different dialects, and it changed and it became Rainworth, Rainsworth, and if you're local, Renneth. So there's not an awful lot to see in terms of track bed at the minute. It's basically, you know, just a path. There aren't, you know, any signal posts and stuff like that, which I was kind of hoping for, given the fact that this section only went in 1983. But shortly we should get a spur to the left, so I'm going to have a look for that, and hopefully I don't miss it, because I actually think that's a bit off the beaten track, that Rufford Colliery branch. I don't think that's a proper path like this, so it might get a bit spicy. So here's our first reel, and even these aren't major remains, look, but it's kind of a sign of a crossing. So you can see the track bed, all these houses back onto it. I would have absolutely loved that as a kid. Looking out the window as trains are thundering past and stuff, dreamland. Although, you know, some of these colliery trains I'm guessing would have been going sort of all hours, so actually maybe that wouldn't have been so great, crack of dawn. Okay, so the track bed's kind of decimated a bit here. I'm not entirely sure why. I'm not sure what this site was used for, but as you can see, you know, they've obviously just dumped stuff, because it's almost like a motocross track now. In fact, judging by the amount of trash around, I guess it probably was a dump. So I kind of got to keep my eyes peeled now for this Rufford Colliery branch. Now, I'm not sure if that's it, that goes off in that direction. Okay, so I've come off of that Mansfield Southwell line. That's what's going across there. Now it basically then just becomes a housing estate, so that's lost. This, however, is that Rufford Colliery branch. Obviously this, I don't know how old this road is. I'll have a look on old maps, which I've obviously not got to hand, to see whether this was actually a bridge at some point. It may well have been, but you can see the track beds up there, you see, and it comes over the top there. Now I don't know obviously if it went over the top as a bridge, do you know what I mean, or whether it was a continuous embankment. Look on some old maps, try and solve that one, but I'm going to get up on it. So there is a path here actually. I wasn't expecting this. I was thinking I might have to be sort of wading through stingers, which I may well have to at some point. So here we go. Already, look at the size of the embankment. It's already jumping up pretty high. Got my eyes peeled, see if there's any remains either side. Now Rufford Colliery, it actually didn't close until 1993 as a colliery, so you might be wondering, well, why this line went in 83. Well, what they were doing from that point, from 83 onwards, is they were taking all the coal out the other way. So past Clipston, which we did a walk past Clipston Colliery before, going out that way, and then round and onto what is now the High Marnham test track, because the coal basically coming out of Rufford was powering power stations. That was pretty much its sole purpose really. And most of the big power stations, the Nottinghamshire power stations, most of which that are gone now, is actually over that side. So it made sense. Okay, so we're coming up now to the dual carriageway, so this might get a bit interesting, because obviously I'm not as quick as I used to be. Okay, so I've just gone around the sun to get to the moon, basically to use a level crossing, so I didn't fancy playing chicken. But the line goes here and through here, so I'm hoping with a bit of a clamber I'll be able to get back on that track bed again. There should be plenty of remains of Rufford Colliery. Reason being, obviously the colliery went in 1993, but after that they used it for quite some time, many years actually, as a coal washing and a coal blending site. Now, you might not know this, I didn't know this, that basically coal isn't just coal. I just assumed it's like, yeah, you drag it out of the ground, you burn it and whatever. But it's not, there's different kinds. And so actually what they were doing was they were digging out quite a lot of coal around here in different collieries, but it wasn't quite up to scratch for the power station. So what they did here at Rufford, once we get there, hopefully there'll be some remains of that. What they did is they did something called blending, which I don't know if that's kind of similar to what they do with whiskey, but they blended the coal to basically make it a higher standard so that they could then use it in the power stations. Right, I think we found the track bed. In fact, I'd be very surprised if this isn't the track bed. Okay, so let's get on that then. Although there doesn't appear to actually be a path, but that's definitely a track bed. Look at that. That's just as the day is long, isn't it? So I'll get off the path and I'll get stomping. Let's see. I think I found a sleeper already. There we go, there's a wooden sleeper. So I'm definitely on the right track then, yeah. There's another one, another one. Yeah, we're cooking on gas now. Okay. There's even ballast here as well. Maybe you can hear that underfoot. The ballast is still there here as well. The bottom of a beer keg. So I'll keep my eyes peeled for different bits and bobs, but it's another sleeper graveyard by the look of it. But I'm hoping for a bit more than that if I can. Some signal posts would be nice. I do like me a signal post. Here we go, look, even more. There's tons of them. I remember this from Clipston, which isn't too far from here, Clipston Colliery. It's like they leave some, they take some, and I don't know how they determine which ones are worth getting rid of and which ones are worth just discarding. Because, I mean, obviously they look pretty rotten now, but they've been there for the best part of 40 years, to be fair. What year is it? Over 40 years. Wow. How's your maths? Okay, so I'll keep stomping. It's not that nice underfoot, to be fair, because it's ballast, but it's also kind of, in fact, you can see the indentations, I think, of where the sleepers were. Can you see that? You can kind of see indentations along. Tons and tons of them just discarded, look. It's the first colliery walk I've done for a while, actually. I've kind of been going down lead mines with Phil, obviously, and then we've been doing some kind of quite different stuff, you know, like Harbour Rocks and Giddy Edge and things like that, which is great fun, I have to say. But I do quite like getting on these old colliery branches, especially ones that went as late as 83, because obviously there's more to see. Do you know what I mean? There's more remains. Okay, so sleepers still everywhere, so I haven't kept filming them, but these ones are still in situ. Look, there's a few that are still in place there. Look, more sleepers, and we've got a burnt out car in the distance there. Right, it's quite a high embankment. I'm just coming to the side of that because I was walking through these branches and every other one was smacking me in the face. There's only so many times you can get slapped in the face, do you know what I mean? So I'm coming round it, but it should open up onto the site shortly. There's another burnt out car in the distance. It should open out onto the colliery site shortly. So I'm hoping, obviously, because there'll be a series of points at that point. See that? Got hit the face again. That there might well be, you know, some signal posts and remains of that sort of thing. Although, because there's trees everywhere, it's one of them, like, got to be proper Hawkeye. So here we go. Now we're proper ballast now. There's another burnt out car. How do they even get them up here? So obviously we've come through I'm a Celebrity, and now we're actually on, you know, what feels like a proper, you know, not that long ago gone track bed, which makes me wonder, maybe this bit lasted a bit longer than 83. Maybe they used this as a head shunt or a run around or whatever. There you go. Goodness knows how long that's been there. Okay, so this section, if I've done my sums right from old photos, this was double track at this point, and actually if you look, it's pretty wide, isn't it? Now, I'm pretty sure this is Rufford Colliery siding, so you come down here and it dropped into the colliery site. So I'm going to follow this down, because that route there will actually skirt around Rufford Colliery, whereas obviously I want to get down and into it. So I hope I'm right in that assumption that this is the colliery sidings. Soon find out, won't we? Now that looks to me like that's come from a signal post. of which there were several, and there was a signal box here as well. It definitely came off like that. Now at this point it's quite hard to tell, because that's obviously, you know, there was something of red brick there, so that could have been the signal box, but they've just obviously just decimated the land here. So let me come up. Now I'm pretty sure that's the line down there. In fact, you can see the ballast there. So that's definitely the track bed. Definitely the track bed down there. So I'm gonna come around and get back on that then. There's a lot of guesswork going on, but from what I've seen in terms of old photos and stuff, I'm hoping that I'll know I'm there when I see it, basically. That's my logic. That's what I'm going with. And I'm back on that track bed. There's more discarded sleepers, look. And there as well. Another load of them. I thought I could feel some under my feet a minute ago, but they were all so buried, I'm not sure. But yeah, you can see there's just tons here. Tons of sleepers lying around. So here is the site of Rufford Colliery. There's the spoil heaps. Just there, look. So I'm gonna have a look, see what remains of the site, and then what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna skirt over the top of those spoil heaps, get on that other line, that Great Central line down. Here we go. Not sure what this is actually. Some form of weighbridge maybe? To test the weight of the trucks coming out of here. Now this area was the colliery itself, so I'm not entirely sure where the shafts would have been. I find it crazy when you walk around places like this, because it's just like a wasteland. And obviously it was modernised quite a lot in the end, because it didn't go till 93 as a colliery, and then they were still using it obviously as a washing plant and a coal blending site up until, well, I'm not entirely sure, maybe even the early 2000s. But it was built in 1911, and there was actually a huge tragedy here just 3 years into its life in 1914, where basically a massive water tank, I'm talking like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of gallons of water, fell down the shaft, and it landed on top of the men at the bottom, and 14 of them died here at the site, which is just heartbreaking. But you know, when you come to these collieries and you see the number of people that have died, it's staggering really. And here we go, here's our first rail remain. Look at that bending round. You can see some more over here. So a lot of these sites, you know, they would have kind of obviously standard gauge lines that the coal wagons would come in and out, but they would often have little mineral lines as well, little narrow gauge lines. So I'll have a look and see if there's some there. I think I might have spotted one or two up there. There you go, look, there's a point. So I'm stood on where the point was, and it opens up. It's a vast, vast site. Let me just go and have a look here and just see if these are narrow gauge, because there's quite a hill that it's going up as well. So yeah, these are little narrow gauge lines, look. There you go, look. In fact, these might not have even had wagons on. They may well have had, you know, I'm just thinking with the bend, although it does have a, is that a catcher, whatever that's called, that bit around there that will stop it coming off the rails. So it's a vast, vast site, look. There's another point there opening out. So let's see where these go. Yeah, so this narrow gauge bit comes out here. You've got some major lines there. In that direction, you're going to Clipston Colliery, and you're going to, well, you would have gone to Mansfield Colliery, and then in the end, that's where the coal was taken out in that direction, as opposed to Renneth in that direction. Let's have a look then. It might be one of them where you need to get the drone up, to be fair, to just see the scale of it and the vastness of this site. It's absolutely enormous. So here we go, more narrow gauge rails. Apologise for the wind. And you've got the spoil heaps here. trying to see where the actual coal shafts themselves were, because obviously, you know, the rails were coming right up to those points, so I'm pretty sure. Looks as tired as me, look. So these narrow gauge lines, they're still going. They're still all going. It's a vast complex. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to jump over there. Hopefully I won't have to go all the way over the top of the spoil heap, and I'll join that Great Central line that comes out of here and goes back to Renneth. You can see how much it's been raining over the last few days. Look at that, it's even running. I think I worked it out. See that little circle there? Well, egg shape. And there's another egg shape the other side. I think they're the shafts. I think that's where they've capped them. I might be completely wrong, but it looks about right in terms of the location for me, that. I could be wrong. I often am. But at least I'm saying Renneth, not, you know, mispronouncing it. Okay, it's an absolute bog here for some reason, but I'm going to walk kind of away from the site towards Clipston, because at that point I know that Great Central line joins up. So I figure if I just aim at it, then I'll hit that line, and then I can walk all the way back into Renneth, round to the site of Blidworth Colliery. Right, so there's an access road into the colliery. Over there is the Rufford Colliery site. Now I'm pretty sure if I've done my sums right, this would have been a little spur, I think. So I'll follow this, and this should take me to that Great Central line. But unfortunately, although, yeah, there we go, there's some remains, so maybe I'm right on the right path. It is a little bit boggy though, so we'll see what happens, but I'm only wearing trainers, fool. Yeah, that's definitely a track bed. Right, let's follow this then. Let's see where this track bed goes. I'm hoping this should eventually join up. So this line from Clipston there, past Rufford Colliery into Blidworth Colliery, this went in 1989. It closed when the Blidworth Colliery went in 1989. Blidworth Colliery was another latecomer, 1926, which for collieries is pretty late. And it's quite an interesting story actually, which I'll tell you when we get a little bit nearer, so it's a bit more relevant to the site itself. Just before, I've just spotted, look at the colour of that water. You'll know better than me, people watching this, because I know quite a lot of old miners and stuff watch these videos, which is amazing. Thank you. Is that as a result of the colliery? I'm thinking it must be, but maybe I'm getting that totally wrong. But just the colour makes me think it's related. It's just become an absolute dumping site. Look at that fly tip, and there's a microwave back there and all. So they've blocked it off here, which is a bit frustrating. I'm not sure how easy it is to get over. It doesn't look too bad, to be fair. I must be going in the right direction. It starts to open up a bit there. I'm wondering if that's going into the Rufford Colliery site, which it may well be. The reason it looked like it was opening up into Rufford Colliery was because I'm on the wrong track. I just saw ballast, do you know what I mean? I thought that's definitely it. Not using my noggin, on the sense that there's so many railways around here, so many lines going in different directions, sidings and whatever, that actually, just because it's ballast doesn't mean I'm going in the right way. It's basically like getting on asphalt and going, this is probably the way, and just driving. So, no mate. There you go, look. We've even got a sleeper with a couple of brackets on it. That's a concrete one as well, so that would have been later on. So here we go. I'm on the track bed now. I've walked round the path and jumped on this and got very, very muddy from the trouble. So back there, like I said earlier, that's going to Clipston Colliery. We went there before. Huge headstocks. It's amazing to look at, to be fair. I thought actually you better see them, but maybe because I'm a bit low down you can't, but they're definitely worth a visit because they just look great, and the fact they've survived, amazing. So here's our first remain on the Blidworth branch, or at least this section of the Blidworth branch that we're doing, because obviously it does go further back. Look at the size of the spoil heaps, huge. They're obviously from Rufford Colliery, which is on the other side of those spoil heaps, so we've come round. Now you can see here, this would have been some kind of working area, and this looks like it was a bridge. In fact, I would absolutely say it was a bridge at some point, but they filled all that in. Let's have a look at the other side, if they've done the same the other side. Yeah, they have. So I'll have a look on old maps then and see if maybe a line came under there or whether it was just road access, I'm not sure. Although that looks like it could have been a weighbridge actually. So maybe that's them weighing wagons as they're coming out of Rufford. So what we got here? So here's sleepers, look. I mean, this is all fallen away, that there. Again, it's all black, look, the coal. So it's pretty solid ballast now. Up there, Rufford Colliery, spoil heap. Now in the distance there, you can see the forest. Now through there, you've got Bilsthorpe Colliery, and you can actually get to that. If you come off a bit further back from when we got on it, it actually goes off, and you can walk that as well. So that's another one maybe for a future video. I'll look into what remains there. That's a serious embankment. Look at that. Again, I know I say it every time like a broken record, but the work that went into building these railways is just insane. That's even more insane. I know people that go down that on a bike. Lunatics. So any second now, we'll join the proper designated railway path as opposed to just, you know, clambering across ballast. Although it's not that comfortable, but I kind of prefer this really because it's real, isn't it? What on earth is going on there? Why have they asphalted that? That's mad. There's a signpost, look. And again, there's running water down there. Such a huge embankment, massive. So there was a crossing gate, look, right there. That's the track bed. I just had to come off it because, you know, I ain't messing with the jungle. So I'm in quite a nice cutting now. It actually feels a little bit like a railway line again, because back there it was just like walking on a country lane. Where we're heading, I apologise for the wind as well, because it's that whole wind tunnel vibe, isn't it? But where we're heading, Blidworth Colliery, it was opened in 1926. Like I said earlier, that's quite a late comer. But it's an interesting story. So the Bolsover Coal Company, Bolsover in Derbyshire, the Bolsover Coal Company owned a lot of the pits around this area. They owned Rufford, they owned Bilsthorpe, which is over in that direction. I think they might have even owned Clipston. And all these collieries hit the top hard seam, which is the money shot basically. It's basically a 6 foot high seam of coal. They each hit that at 600 yards. So what you do basically is you stick a borehole down and you find the coal, and then you go, magic, we found the coal, and then you build your colliery basically. But because they had Rufford at 600 yards, they had Bilsthorpe at 600 yards, they had Clipston at 600 yards, it's like, it's no point putting a borehole down because that costs time and money. We'll just build a colliery. So they did. And so people came from all over Derbyshire, all over Staffordshire, Leicestershire, Nottinghamshire, all over the country for work, and they were, you know, housed in Blidworth and Renneth. So they got down to 600 yards, nothing. So they dug a little bit more, nothing. Dug a little bit more, nothing. So they shut the colliery down for 2 years, and they sent everyone off. Like, sorry boys, there's no work. So I was reading this account that was saying in kind of 1927, 1928, that basically these villages of Renneth and Blidworth were basically just full of boarded up houses where people had moved in, let's start work boys, and then had to clear off and find work elsewhere. But they kept like a skeleton staff on, so just a handful of guys who just kept kind of working away at it, and eventually at 700 yards they found that top hard seam. And so the reason for that was there's actually a fault in this area. So the land where that fault was had dropped 100 yards. So they basically thought they were going to save themselves a bucket load of cash by not doing a borehole drill, and actually it backfired on them quite badly. So here we are coming up to that bridge. Looks kind of quirky, doesn't it? It's very modern. I'm trying to work out whether that's actually been reinforced or whether it was actually built like this, because the track bed was probably lower. So maybe, because this road is relatively new, so maybe this road came in the 80s. Anyone local will know the answer to that, because it's a bit of a bypass, so maybe that came in the 80s, and that's why it's quite a modern looking bridge. Hello! Oh, proper resonates, that one. there's an adventure park down the road from here called Wheelgate, and it's kind of like more geared towards kids, so we take our little ones there sometimes. But it's built basically on top of that Mansfield to Southwell line, and there's an embankment pretty much goes through the top end of Wheelgate. So every time we go there, I would drive that road, and the amount of times I'd be looking, because I'm always Hawkeye like that, do you know what I mean? Well, that's a railway bridge, what railway is that? And obviously looked into it a bit and thought, I'll get myself out on that. So here we go, we're just coming up to that girder bridge and viaduct now on the Blidworth Colliery branch. What I'm going to do first though is I'm going to jump down there and actually get a look at the underneath of it, because that original line we were walking on, that Mansfield to Southwell line, that yellow line from left to right, actually went underneath here. Now, let me just stand on this bit of fencing. Obviously, Field's done it because the farmers, oh, nearly fell then. But you can just see those trees there where they go off. There's actually a railway bridge there, and that's that line continued, so it came under here. And there we go. So 1926 that was built. Again, engineering brick. I'm pretty sure this then is that Southwell, that Mansfield to Southwell branch went underneath through there. Obviously the whole of Renneth is completely filled in, the whole cutting. The entirety of that line pretty much, once it got into Renneth proper, was one big cutting. And actually if you see a photo of the old railway station, which was called Blidworth and Renneth station, or Blidworth and Rainworth station, however you want to pronounce it, that was right down deep in that cutting, so that's long gone. That's a housing estate, it's all been filled in. And there, look at that. That's a real nice bridge actually, it's a real nice structure. The red's different as well. That's quite quirky, and it's high as well, isn't it? You can see. But I suppose it's had to be because it's on top of quite a big embankment. Oh man, it's getting quite windy now. I'm starting to lose a little bit of the light, but we're not too far from the end, so that's all right. But at least we've got a nice path to walk on. So this was the Great Central as well, this one. The one we're about to join in a second to finish the walk, the one that's in those trees over there, that was the Midland line. Now that is less of a trodden path, I think. That might be a little bit more of a clambering in places. So here we go. This is something called Boundary Wood, and as you can see at the top there, they've got the old winding arms and stuff to signify the fact that this was a colliery. Unfortunately, like I say, no remains of Blidworth Colliery. The spore heaps are all here. Obviously you can walk and like mountain bike like those two geezers are. But unfortunately there's nothing left of the colliery itself. It is just an industrial estate. So what I'm going to do, let me send the drone up now so you can actually, so you believe me, and you see those white buildings in the distance there. That's the industrial estate. That was the colliery. What we want to do is we want to get on the Midland line, which is over there. So I'm gonna walk back and get onto that. So here you go, look, some brickwork. Now let me get up. I'm pretty sure, if I'm honest, that this isn't actually the track bed here. I'm pretty sure the track bed is actually down there. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna walk up here and I'll kind of keep my eyes peeled for parts that I can jump down, because it's really, really boggy there at the minute. Look, if you just look down, wow, that is slippery. There's a big sleeper there. Some more sleepers lying around down there as well. I'm not sure how passable it is. I'm looking for an actual proper point down, because that is just wet leaves and mud. Not tonight, Henry. Right, I did. Right, I've clambered down onto the track bed now. It's hella muddy. But that path I was on was just getting higher and higher and higher, and I was thinking, oh, I'll be able to jump down onto the track bed at a better point, but actually it just kept getting higher. So what we got there, sleeper, look. This is not a well-trodden path, obviously. That path we were just on a second ago, that went in 1989, so obviously when they've closed that, they've you know, right away turned it into a path. But this one went in 1967 when they closed that Mansfield and Southwell line, so you know, it's long gone in terms of you know, making a decent path out of it, although maybe they will one day, I don't know. This is a serious cutting now. The actual nice comfy path that I could have gone on is up there, and I've chosen this for some reason. This is not going well, this particular section of the walk. Okay, so I've come back because I'm going to take this path now round that bit because it's just ridiculous down there. But whoa! I fell over. Okay. Right, but I got down here. That's what matters. So there it is. Look. Oh, I have got a wet backside. Look at that. So that's. Is that wooden? No, it's concrete. That. Yeah, look at that. See, even got the ladder on it still. Amazing. Right, I've got to try and get up that bit now that I just wiped out on. This could be fun. I'll keep it rolling. Because, you know, why not? Oh, mate, there's thorns everywhere. These are brutal. Okay. Right, let me get out of that branch. Ow. I'm going to go with ow. Quite a lot today, actually. Oh, man. Things you do for an old signal post with a ladder on it. It's mad, isn't it, really? Right, I'm sticking to the path now until I get to that junction with the Mansfield and Southwell Railway. You can see the depth of the cut in there. Look at that. So the line comes round. This is all filled in here. Now down there should be the remains of a bridge structure. So there it is. I'm still actually in the hedge at the minute. Oh mate, look at that. There you go, engineering brick. So obviously this has all been filled in. The branch goes all the way back there in that cutting, comes out of Blidworth Colliery, under here actually, and then if I go up, that's obviously the road and the houses and stuff. But that was the line. The line went straight through the middle of Renneth. So that's me. That's a little sort of, I was going to say a saunter, but it's hardly a saunter when you fall down an embankment and land on your backside. But started off at the other end of Renneth on that Mansfield to Southwell line. We went up, we had a look at Rufford Colliery, loads of remains, came across down that Blidworth Colliery branch, and then we came back on this Midland Railway spur. And that's the end of it. As always, thank you so much for watching. It's been good fun actually, to be fair. Despite stacking it, it's been quite good fun to get back on these old colliery walks. So, as always, thanks for watching, clicking, subscribing and commenting and all sorts, and I'll see you next time.